Hello. In this video, I want to talk about what I think is considered a conflict. I certainly have experienced it as such, and I have, particularly in the last couple of months, I've had quite a lot of conversations on this topic. The conflict being between this idea that we want to live our life that is aligned with who we are and what we love doing and what we are good at, which is usually the same thing. Or we can become good at it and all that, versus money making, living off that thing that we love doing in a way that sustains us, pays our bills monthly, regularly, so we don't have to worry whether we'll have a roof over our head or not, basically. So the conflict is between the two, because more often than not, at least in my life experience and observing the world and others, is that we don't bring the two together. We end up having a career, having a job that pays the bills, and then we do something else. And I'm going to offer you an astrological, if you like, explanation of this, and which in itself, at least that's what it's done for me, has given me peace and reconciled this conflict. Hasn't solved it, but it has reconciled it. I made peace with it. So this gap that in many people's lives exists, so that we get a regular income from one thing, and then what we really, really love and gives us far greater sense of satisfaction and meaning to our life is something else that we don't get paid for. So that's the difference between your 10th house and your Saturn. So 10th house is kind of like it's what the world sees about us, but also it is kind of our public service face. It's how we are meant to contribute to the bigger picture, like visibly and in the now. Not necessarily for posterity, that too possibly, but this is more immediate. This is like like living now that particular archetype and whatever else you have in the 10th house. But the sustainability in career, that's why it's considered career, is because it's the 10th house is the groups of people. There are far many more people that will see your 10th house and want to pay for it than, let's say, in the 7th house. In the 7th house, you have closer people that know you more, because they're a bit closer to you, but that's not the kind of transactional in the sense of, or it can be, sorry, don't get me wrong, it can be, but what I mean is because the number of people is lesser, because it's more personal. I presume you can't have 1,000 people who are very close to you. I don't know, totally assume you can't, so I'm going with that. But in 10th house is your Instagram account, or your YouTube channel, or your other sort of social platform, which is, gathering that, having so many people around you, are your audiences, are your clients, potential and current and past and future. And we're talking a big number, hence the sustainability, hence the kind of regular monthly income that can actually pay for your bills. So if it's not Instagram, if it's not YouTube, then it's like a career, a job by an employer, or you have your own business. You set up your own business, and it is a good business. You're the boss, you're the owner, and you run it smoothly, and it gives you sort of a satisfaction, and you're happy with it. But there is something, and I've seen this so many times, and I've spoken to many, not so much in astrological terms, but just as a life kind of conversation, where there is that sense that actually it's great, and it's, many are just happy with that setup and it's good enough. But there is something niggling them, and in the sense that there is far greater satisfaction and happiness to be found elsewhere. And that's their Saturn. So Saturn, unless it is in the 10th house, then you're in luck, if you like. What gives you this Saturnian sense of far deeper sense of accomplished life and accomplishment, that you have mastered something, and it's the kind of hard work not in a punishable, in a sense of punishment and, you know, like, oh, hard work, I need to work hard. No, in a sense that it's taken a longer, it was, you really had to work at it, and that's, you know, inner work. Don't you feel like far more satisfied and happy when you kind of cracked the code and you kind of made something, you changed something for better, for yourself, for whoever. You worked at something and then you achieved, I don't know, an example that comes to mind, it's like when you get healthier because you put your mind to just eating more healthier, getting exercise. When you achieve that, it's such a sense of accomplishment that I don't know, I can't believe I'm speaking just for myself, so I'm going to assume I'm covering many of you, or, you know, speaking for many of you in that sense, that when you put the work in, so you start from nothing or very little, and then you get to a point where you achieved a lot, or you created something, that sense, and it wasn't necessarily easy, so you overcome obstacle. It's like a hero's journey type of thing. You could be doing that with your business, and you are, you know, if it's your 10th house, whatever your 10th house business is. But where your Saturn is, it's like you really get the level of satisfaction as you achieve something your Saturn wants from you is, I feel, far deeper and far more personal and far more yours, because it is only for you. It's not for the public. So let's say you are a professor, let's say you have a Sagittarius with Mercury, you know, in the 10th house. So you are really academically gifted, and you're kind of a philosopher, and you just now teach philosophy at a university, and you have a good career, and you're, you know, esteemed, and you have, like I said, good income. You're sorted, you know, in that way, and you enjoy it. But your Saturn is elsewhere, and you love making, I don't know, you like playing music, or you like making, you know, cooking, or just something utterly irrelevant and disconnected, or just something different to your 10th house, right? And it's actually doing something with that and never necessarily turning it into business. In fact, this non-astrological advice I was given years ago, where it's like, be careful not to, you know, don't do what you love, don't turn it into a job, because, yeah. So I kind of feel like that. So that's maybe my bias, because that's my experience. But Saturn in itself doesn't really want audience, doesn't want, you know, acceptance or status or acclaim or recognition, as in it gets it because it deserves it. It doesn't ask for it. It doesn't want to ask for it. It doesn't care to ask for it. It doesn't need to ask for it. But it gets it because it's like, it's so obvious once you get to that point. So doing your Saturn, that's, let's say, separate to the 10th house, won't be money-making machine, because the Saturn doesn't care for money in itself. It cares for the work that will produce and accomplish something, accomplished individual, accomplished artwork, and many artworks and many stages of your individuality and your person, and anything else that your Saturn is asking you to do. So it's reward, it's in this sense of accomplishment. And then sometimes with that accomplishment can come money. But depending where it is, like I say, if it's in 10th house, then you are like, you know, bingo, like all that you do, that it's actually deeply satisfying to you, in your 10th house will be like, you'll have a queue of people, because you are at disposal to so many that will be queuing up to pay for it. So you can actually live off nicely of that. But if it's elsewhere, tucked away in a different part of your chart, you may not have any money coming in. You may end up occasionally selling, or you can turn it into business, you know, but this profound sense of satisfaction and feeling like you actually are living your life, and you're mastering, you know, when we say, what's the point of my life? What's the purpose? What am I here to do? You're here to do your Saturn. So you're doing it for you. And in doing it, you will have people recognize you, but there might not be money coming in. And if you don't want to turn your Saturn into a business, I put to you, not as a not even as advice, but it's my take on it. It's based on my experience, is that you will almost like ruin, maybe a stronger word, but you will take something away from this satisfaction that you're now turning it into business. So the conclusion here is that the reconciliation piece is that if this is your case, if your 10th house is one thing and your Saturn is something very different, is not to beat yourself up about it anymore, that you can't, if that's your story, right, that you've been trying to, but you can't achieve this kind of sense that what you love doing, what gives you that sense of this is what I'm here to do, this is what I'm here to master, isn't what will bring you a regular monthly check, and that's okay. That's just it. That's how it's meant to be. So okay, so hopefully this was helpful. See you soon.